Subscribe. We're going to get deep into this conversation. I have a pitch about how the DCEU could have changed things around and actually made sense. So, we're going to get right into it. I'm going to explain how my pitch goes into how the DCEU could have changed things around from what they had from Man of Steel all the way up to Black Adam. So, first, you know how Man of Steel went, origin story, Superman, and then we have Batman versus Superman. Superman dies, and then we have Suicide Squad. Now, I would just leave this as a regular Suicide Squad movie. The Suicide Squad, for me personally, is not going to be important to this pitch that I am saying here. So, the Suicide Squad is not going to be important. They're just going to be left behind. It's just a Suicide Squad movie. Next up, Wonder Woman, that plays a part into this. And then Justice League. The same Justice League we have. Nothing's changing. I'm just adapting a new story and how they could have changed things around. So we have Justice League. Next up, we have Aquaman. Same thing. And then we get Shazam. And then here's where things could have gone better. I would basically not give Shazam a sequel. I would keep Shazam as one movie and have The Rock fight Shazam in that movie, and I would have him as the villain. And after Shazam, I would get, of course, the Flash movie. But here's the change: in the Flash movie, the Flash is going to try and save his mother. However, the Flash is going to be a very important part in this pitch and new timeline that I am creating based off of how the DCEU could have changed things. So it's going to turn into a narrative, like a story, like a pretty much like a voiceover. And I'll explain everything. So the Flash goes and tries to save his mother. It's not going to be like the Flash movie that's coming out. So then we get Black Adam, pretty much the origin story for him. And then that's that. Of course, we get Shazam versus Black Adam. And that's going to stay in one movie. But yeah, we do get the Black Adam solo movie as well. We're just still getting a solo Shazam versus Black Adam movie. And after that, um, the Flash is really going to become an important part of this story. And after this, we carry on into Justice League 2, where Superman turns bad and then they have to go back in time to change things because Lois got killed. Remember in the original Justice League 2 script, Lois got killed and Superman went crazy. So in this, the Flash is going to go back in time to reverse things so they can have a second chance against Darkseid. And this is where I'm going to change the plot according to what I think would have been a good route for them to take to make things make sense for a reboot. So I'm basically going to reboot the DCEU with a plot that makes sense according to the timeline of the DCEU. So starting with Justice League 2, basically the same thing that they pitched. Flash goes back in time, tries to reverse things, and bam, we have a second chance. And then we go into Justice League 3, where we have our battle against Darkseid. Ignore the Supergirl and Michael Keaton. That's just pretty much showing Justice League 3. I just picked a random Justice League picture and put it right there. So we go into Justice League 3, where the entire world becomes the Justice League and they fight Darkseid. Now, this is a dark pitch. You gotta listen. This one is really dark. So The Flash in this Justice League 3, um, what happens is they fight Darkseid and they're winning. However, in the battle of Darkseid, they realize the Flash is the main character in this Justice League movie. And the Flash realizes that they're winning, but certain people are missing. Batman disappears. He notices that Batman obliterates himself, and people are disappearing. Important characters are disappearing. Wonder Woman is going. Batman is going. Superman is getting uh, blown away. Darkseid is actually starting to win, and people are dying. Now, the Flash doesn't realize what is happening until he sees people going into dust and obliterating into nothing. And he realizes the world is collapsing in on itself. And he realizes that he's getting tired and he notices that everybody's losing. And he knows that he caused this. So in Justice League 3, the pitch that I have, the Flash messes up the whole battle and destroys this entire timeline with what he did in his solo movie and in Justice League 2. So, him in Justice League 2 resetting the timeline for them to have another chance to fight Darkseid, what it really did was ruin the timeline and destroy the whole world. And he's experiencing that in this battle of Justice League 3. So once the Flash notices that everybody is dying and the whole world is collapsing in on itself, he starts to run to get out of that timeline. And he doesn't care which timeline to go towards. He's just running as fast as possible so he can save himself because everybody else, the Justice League members, are dead. So he's just running to get away. So as the world is destroying itself because of him, the screen goes black. And I'm talking about this as if it were a movie. The screen goes black. So Barry, he basically goes unconscious. And then he wakes up to Superman, but not just any Superman, a new 52 Superman. And a confrontational new 52 Superman. If you see where I'm going with this, just follow along. So basically, the screen goes black and he wakes up to Superman, but this is another Superman, not the Henry Cavill DCEU Superman he's talking to. Superman tells him, "Are you okay? Where are you from?" He asks the DCEU Flash, "Where are you from?" And he says, "They're dead. They're all dead. It's all my fault." And the new 52 Flash comes up and says, "He's me. He's just not from here." And then Superman says, "Is that so? What happened?" And then the DCEU Flash says, "It's all my fault. I ruined my timeline. I destroyed them all." He looks up at the DC New 52 Flash and says, "You don't have to do it. Do not ruin your timeline. I'm sorry. I might die. It's over for me. I messed it up." And the New 52 Flash starts to get a little frustrated. He looks over and Wonder Woman appears. New 52 Wonder Woman appears. These are all different actors, keep in mind, in my pitch. These are all different actors playing the New 52 superheroes of DC. And Wonder Woman notices that New 52 Flash is getting frustrated. And New 52 Flash runs off. And he runs to come back to talk to the DCEU Flash and says, "Have you ever met a man named Eobard Thawne?" And he runs off and comes back and says to the DCEU Flash, "Is Eobard Thawne a man you've met before?" And the DCEU Flash says, "No, I've never heard of him." And then he grabs Eobard Thawne. The new 52 Flash grabs Eobard Thawne and puts him up. The unconscious, tied up Eobard Thawne. And basically, the DCEU Flash says, "Who is that? He looks just like us." And pretty much, he tells the DCEU Flash that this is the guy that killed my mother. If you're from a different timeline, he might have done the same to yours. And the DCEU Flash gets frustrated and says, you did this to me." And he gets up and tries to hit Eobard Thawne, and he successfully throws a punch. But as soon as he hits Eobard Thawne, bam, the Flash obliterates the DCEU Flash, straight up blips himself out like Thanos snapped everybody. The DCEU Flash is gone. The DCEU, all of them are dead. And we are left with the new 52. And then the new 52 Flash beats up Eobard Thawne and says, "You knew this would happen, didn't you?" And Eobard Thawne says, "It's amazing, isn't it? Messing up the timeline could do a lot." And the new 52 Flash throws him on the ground in frustration. We cut back to the DCEU world, and it desperately is gone, and Darkseid is dead. Everybody from the DCEU is dead. And we are left with the new 52 Justice League of the new DC universe. Starting over, we have the new 52 Justice League, and the DCEU universe is gone. And it turns out that Eobard Thawne is the reason why the DCEU in that timeline is gone. And the new 52 is now the main DC universe. If that makes sense to you, do you like it? And I kind of like this. I made this up myself, and I like it. If you like it, let me know. But this is what they could have done with the DCEU to reboot it properly. New 52. Keep in mind, like I said, all the new 52 characters are being played by new faces, new actors. So, this is how the DCEU could have rebooted properly. And that's all I gotta say. That's my idea. That's my pitch. Do you have a better one? If you like this, let me know. And that's all I gotta say. I'm done.